Welcome back to GMT. The Ukrainian government is claiming a couple of significant successes in its battle against pro-Russian separatists in the east of the country. Kiev says its forces have regained full control of the port city of Mariupol and have forced rebels out of positions along the Russian border. At the same time, Kiev has come up with new proposals to resolve the gas dispute with Russia, which has seen Moscow threaten to cut off supplies. So, is Russia ready to defuse tensions? Has Moscow achieved its objectives in the Ukraine crisis? I'm joined in the GMT studio by Grigorий Явлинский, former Deputy Prime Minister of Russia and long-time opposition activist against Vladimir Putin's government. Grigorий Явлинский, can you ever remember a time when the opposition inside Russia seemed less relevant, less potent?
I think that the number of the people who are not supporting Putin's policy, especially in Ukraine, in Russia today, is very limited. This is very limited.
Because the polls would suggest his approval rating is higher now than it has been for, well, the last 6 years.
Yes, it's a kind of hysteria, and it's a kind of a result of the massive propaganda on the fully controlled media in Russia. This is a very serious result of the last half a year.
Well, you call it hysteria. Many observers would say that he is tapping into something very powerful when he says that Crimea should always now be a part of Russia, that he is defending the interests of ethnic Russians across the region. He's tapping into a desire to project Russian power, which Russian voters like.
Every country have such a delicate elements of the political psychology, which if you are going to press in a very brutal way, they would give the response. It's not only for a Russian case is fair, but in Russia, the consequences of the collapse of the Soviet Union and the difficulties which were in the 90s when the people were completely robbed and the reforms were unsuccessful, they give that possibility for Putin today. But that doesn't change the situation, because by annexation of Crimea, he is violating all kinds of Russian laws and international laws as well.
But where do you go from here? Because you know the polls better than I do. You're an opposition figure in St. Petersburg right now, and I dare say you every day wake up with a feeling of immense frustration. So where does the opposition go from here?
Yes, it's right. The time is to clarify to the people what happening in reality, that in reality, in Ukraine, the people in Ukraine want to find the way out from the criminal regime in Ukraine and want to take the country to Europe. And what is Russia is doing at the moment, Putin is doing at the moment, it's trying not to let Ukraine to go to Europe. And that is the substance.
Let me ask you briefly about the international reaction. There was a lot of talk of sanctions, and limited sanctions have been imposed by the United States and the Europeans. Do you, as an opposition figure, feel somewhat let down that the Western powers didn't go further?
These sanctions shows that the West condemned what's going on in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, what's going on with Crimea. But it's a very symbolic, of course. And I think that the main thing for the Western powers would be not so much sanctions against Russia, but help and support to Ukraine. I mean, what is really necessary, it is a kind of a Marshall Plan for Ukraine to support Ukrainian economy and to support Ukrainian people.
Indeed. Well, Grigorий Явлинский, I really thank you for coming into the GMT studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.